Mesut Ozil to Barcelona? What is happening, guys? It's your boy TC back with another video. So this is episode 2 of season 2 of the Daily Gunners Talk, and in today's episode we'll be featuring Mesut Ozil's supposed move to Barcelona. We'll also be discussing the statements and comments that were made by Granit Xhaka after the Tottenham game, where he actually said that Arsenal can still win the league. I don't know where he lives or if he lives under a rock. I'm not being negative, but it seems extremely unlikely due to the fact how City are playing, but this is football. And the third story we'll be featuring within this episode will be in regards to the comments made by Emmanuel Adebayor in regards to Tomas Rosicky to a French magazine. So just kicking off the episode, as mentioned, that we will be discussing a proposed move from Mesut Ozil to Barcelona. So reports are surfacing this morning suggesting that Barcelona will be going in for Mesut Ozil, and they have been invited to actually make a bid for the Arsenal midfielder by Arsenal themselves, and he will most likely cost as little as £20 million. So we all know that we signed him for £42.4 million back in 2013, and Barcelona will be getting him at half price, according to these reports. But I'm personally not sure if this move will go ahead, purely because of Mesut Ozil's affiliation to Real Madrid prior to joining Arsenal. But again, this is football, money talks, and I don't think that would be a particular issue moving forward. But that is one point I'd like to raise before we talk about this a bit further. So apparently his agent is currently trying to iron out a deal for Mesut Ozil to move to Barcelona in January, and the reports that came out today suggest that Mesut Ozil's agent is reportedly in negotiations with Barcelona and has told them that Arsenal will accept a bid of about £20 million. A media outlet from Spain claims Ozil's representative, Dr Erkut Sogut, is already holding talks with the Catalan giants over a winter switch to the Nou Camp. It's also said that Ozil is obviously keen on joining Barcelona, but wants to receive an offer as soon as possible. There are apparently 6 other clubs interested in signing the Germany international. These clubs have not been put within the public domain as yet, and it's added that Arsenal are keen on a January exit as they look to recoup as much money as possible from that £42.4 million fee that we have mentioned. So Mesut Ozil's agent has also allegedly told Barcelona that Ozil would like a contract taking him to 2020, although there are no reports about his wage demands so far. So if he does accept less than the money he has been demanding from Arsenal, then something is seriously wrong in my opinion. Obviously Barcelona is held in a much more higher esteem within Europe in comparison to Arsenal, I should say. They went through that dominant phase from around 2006 onwards. They obviously beat us in the Champions League final in that year mentioned, 2006. So they are held in a much more higher regard, if you like, within Europe. But something is seriously wrong if he does accept a lesser offer than what we were tabling to him, according to the reports that were actually surfacing during the summer and up until now. It'd be a similar situation with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain with Liverpool. He took a pay cut to move away from the club, and again, these are issues that will certainly need to be addressed within the club itself. So moving forward within this particular report, it says obviously despite interests from elsewhere, Ozil is set on actually trying to make this move to Barcelona happen. Fingers crossed we can let him go in January to get this saga done and dusted. Of course, if the sooner this is done, the sooner we can move on in terms of finding a replacement and actually coping as a squad without Mesut Ozil, who's been the most creative player we've had in the squad since 2013. Of course, there is that other question that needs to be answered in regards to Alexis Sanchez, but we need to get these two guys out of the club. Fair play, they produced magnificent performances for us against Tottenham, but that is not the basis of actually trying to retain their services. I believe they should leave as soon as possible. If this January move does happen, it means that we can actually go out and actually try and source a replacement as soon as possible. Knowing Arsenal and knowing how Wenger conducts business, we may end up in January not having a suitable replacement for Mesut Ozil, but we will wait and see how this one pans out. Moving forward in the next story, as mentioned, will be in regards to the statements made by Granit Xhaka. So Granit Xhaka has been talking to the press after this magnificent win against Tottenham, after the 2-0 win. He did put in a decent performance. All the players performed absolutely magnificent in my opinion. Xhaka has been getting a lot of stick, including from myself as well, in recent weeks in regards to the performances he has been putting forward. But he has come out and he has been speaking to the press ahead of the game on Thursday against Cologne. Click the card above if you want to watch the review, the preview for that match. However, Xhaka has actually came out and said that Arsenal can still catch Man City and actually win the title. I'm not being negative. I'm not being a pessimist as such, but it seems like a very, very tough task. And his statements themselves were, I think in football everything is possible, and he was talking to Sky Sports in England. And Manchester City at the moment are on a very, very good run. They are doing very well, and others have dropped points, including Arsenal, which they haven't done. But it's conceivable that they could drop points as well in the near future. He went on to say they might not continue as they have been, but our aim is just to focus on ourselves. We know we need to do the work, and we are convinced that we can compete at the top. I'm a person who thinks realistically, but has dreams and fantasies as well. In football, everything is always possible. Of course, the key part to me within that statement really is the fact that he's actually acknowledged that he does have dreams and fantasies. Man City are going to be very, very difficult to catch up, in my opinion. And it may as well be a fantasy purely because I do not see them dropping any points unless if they pick up significant injuries in the form of Jesus and maybe Silva, who's been absolutely magnificent. They will need to lose De Bruyne as well for them to at least maybe stand a chance of actually dropping some points. As it stands, I can't see them dropping any points. They've gone out in the summer. They have addressed the issues that needed to be addressed within their squad themselves, and they are marching on. They are moving forward. As it stands, they are currently unbeaten, and they've picked up the most points within the league after 12 games in the history. Well, not in the history of the Premier League as such, but from a certain period of time. I think it's since about 2009 or so. Do not quote me on that one, but they are playing absolutely fantastic. I personally have declared them as the league champions so far. I can't see Man United catching up with them. Man United are basically 4 points in front of us, which in turn means they are currently roughly about 8 points behind City. And those two teams were the teams that were tipped at the start of the season to challenge for the title all the way. But as it stands, it looks as if Man United have completely not dropped out as such. They have been getting results, but they've suffered a lot of draws along the way. So I don't see Mourinho's men going out and doing the job and actually catching up with Man City. So moving forward, in the final story within this episode will be in regards to Manuel Adebayor. To be fair, I did like Manuel Adebayor when he was at Arsenal. I believe that if he had stayed on and actually continued doing his job, he would have become a pivotal player within the squad. But greed got the best of him. He ended up moving off to City, and then he ended up going across to Tottenham. He went out on loan to Real Madrid, etc. But in my opinion, he's obviously ruined his reputation with Arsenal fans. That was ruined a very, very long time ago when he celebrated at City, running the full length of the pitch. That was pretty bizarre at the time. But again, he has no love for Arsenal. He has continued his onslaught within the press against Arsenal, and this time his victim has been Tomas Rosicky. So Adebayor is playing in Turkey as we speak. He's now 33. He banged in a head trick at the weekend against Galatasaray. But he has been speaking to a French magazine called SoFoot, and he has been making statements about Tomas Rosicky in regards to his injury. So his statements read, "I was the strongest player on the team despite the fact that I weighed 73 kilograms. Chelsea had Michael Essien and Michael Ballack in midfield. We had Rosicky. If you had said as much as how are you to him, he would have been then injured for 2.5 months. This is pretty. He's basically taking shots at Rosicky. I don't know why, what the reasoning behind that is. Obviously, Rosicky, in 10 years that he spent at Arsenal, he made roughly about 170 appearances, which averages roughly about 17 appearances per season. Of course, we acknowledge and we do admit the fact that he was completely injury prone. He didn't have that much luck. However, when he was fit, he was an absolutely fantastic player. He scored many, many memorable goals. goals, one in particular, the one against Tottenham, which was an absolute rocket. And I believe when he was fit, he contributed much more than Manu Adebayo ever did for Arsenal. And for him to actually continue this onslaught within the media itself in regards to Tomas Rosicky, I don't understand. I don't get it. He obviously is a little bit bitter about something. I'm not too sure what it is, but he's always been a weird character. He's always gone out and made statements such as this one in the press, and he's continued on. Even so, he left Arsenal a very long time ago. He's not let this issue go. Obviously, Rosicky now plows his trade in the Czech Republic, in his native Czech Republic, and so far this season, he's only made, I think, roughly about 10 appearances. He's not been fit again. So obviously, it is an issue with the individual itself. But as a professional footballer, I would expect Manu Adebayo to behave in a professional manner, in my opinion. He should not be going out and making such statements about fellow professionals. It is deemed unnecessary, in my opinion. He has no links nor ties to Arsenal anymore. We don't want him to be associated to the club anymore. So I believe he shouldn't be making any statements such as this. And he goes on to say, even though I was one of the smallest players in terms of weight within the club itself, I was still one of the strongest. So again, very unnecessary. I believe Manu Adebayo should drop this whole Arsenal matter, move on with his life, continue playing football in Turkey and continue scoring goals over there. When he retires, he can write a book and we can all read it if you want to read it. So just a quick recap. We've obviously spoke about Mesut Ozil's proposed move to Barcelona. We've discussed the statements made by Granit Xhaka in terms of us challenging for the league this season, as well as the fact that the statements that were made by Manu Adebayo in regards to Tomas Rosicky. So if you're watching this video, guys, and you're not subscribed to the channel, please do make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. Also, leave your comments below as usual. Once again, guys, it's your boy TC from I'm Gonna Talk TV, and I'm out.